Things are a little bit off, but we're going to roll with it anyways because you know what? Perfection, we're going to leave the pursuit of perfection in 2025 and I can't say beyond, but going back. Anyhow, hello, I'm Spencer and welcome back to Sketch a Day. I'm going to be doing more on the bootcamp series, so going over some fundamentals and basics, things that you might know already, but you probably need to work on anyways. If you are just joining, be sure to check out the first few videos. That's where I cover some basics like warming up, 1, 2, 3 point perspective, and what else did I do? Oh, primitives as well. So if you have no idea what I just said, just go watch the previous few videos. All right. So I went ahead and sketched a few items here that are going to help me explain to you the concept of shading. Now, shading with something like a pen like this is a Mr. Pen felt tip pen, is a little bit tricky because a pen like this is unforgiving. So when I draw a line, I can't really get as much variation as I might get with something like a pencil or ballpoint pen. So when you draw like this with a felt pen, just know that the stroke is something you have to commit to. You have to say, all right, this is how it's going to be, so I'm going to stick with this. All right, so how do we, if the pen you're using gives you what's called a whole line or something that's a bit more solid, how do you then introduce variation and shading and so forth? Well, I'll show you. And we kind of started here where when you draw a series of lines close together, something like this, you can see that you create the appearance of a value. Or if you want to practice in a little bit more precise way, you can make a series of squares. How many do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8. We could add 2 more if we want to. 9, 10. All right. And the idea here is that when you get to this side of the scale, right, I want to shade this in as much as I can. Notice I'm starting and stopping on these lines. I'm not drawing with my shoulder, but I'm using my wrist kind of like I would my shoulder. My fingers are not moving and I'm just being consistent. So if you can shade this in as much as possible, this should represent 100% on your value scale. Now that doesn't mean that it's going to be 100% black, right? We have markers for that, but this is a way for you to practice the in between, if you will. So if this is 100, I'm going to go over it one more time here because I do want it to be a bit darker. So we'll finish this out, and this is just a series of successive strokes on the paper. All right, not too worried, by the way, about this area here where it's like over sketched. Not too worried about that. All right, and the reason for that is you can always use line weight to clean that up when you're ready. So if this represents 100%, then I have to look at this and go, all right, this would be 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. So this would be 50%. 4, 3, 2, 1. Maybe one more, make 0 right here. All right, so it'd be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Perfect. So for 5, I'm going to look at this one and go, all right, halfway, or if I remove half of those strokes, what would it look like? Maybe something like this. And then 6, I want to get a little bit closer with the strokes, maybe something like that. And then 7, we get a little bit closer as well, just like that. And then 8 and so forth, right? Just a little bit closer. So if you squint your eyes and look at this, you'll see that I'm effectively creating a gradient in value. You can see it on the page, and you should be able to see it in the video as well. And this is how you create a value scale using just one pen. So now I would look at 8 and 10, right? Maybe I'll make this a little bit darker just by going over it again. But when I look at 10, we just want to fill this in on the in-between. Not quite to where 10 is, but in between, okay? So it shouldn't look as dark as 10, but it should look darker than 8. If you have to go over it again, that's fine. But there, now I've created a bit of a gradient just with the pen. So if you are something like a comic book fan, you can kind of see this quite often. This is called hatching, if you didn't know what that is. All right. But in design sketching, I tend to call it more of a motor stroke. All right. Get your mind out to the gutter. But that's what I was taught it was called, motor stroke. So we can apply this concept of shading. And if you are practicing and doing this boot camp, I do recommend that you actually go through the exercise and see if you can do this a few times, even fill up a few pages so that you become comfortable with it, right? Because 1 might be even something like this, and then 2, I might as well finish this in. 3 might be something like this, and then 4 might be something like that. Okay, I'm going to go over this again for 5. So as far as the value goes, and I forgot to mention this, as far as the value goes, it's really a combination of the width of the line on the page, the proximity of one line to the next, but also it could also be related to the type of pen you're using. All right, so you kind of have to play with the variables and see what works for you. And when you figure out what works for you, it's kind of like having some insight into a sports team, and you know which player is going to, do their thing a certain way, and you can bring them out and they'll do their thing. All right, for those who are sports inclined, maybe that'll make sense. All right, so how do we apply this type of shading, and by extension some of what I did here, to other things? Well, I can mix up my stroke. It doesn't have to be straight lines. I can do something like that, or I can combine straight line like so and change the direction like so, or I can even do something like a squiggle. All right, so this stuff is more illustrative, but in the case of the squiggle here, the more I overlap, okay, and go over the same spot, and the tighter I make these little circles, the darker this area seems. But it's not exactly all the way shaded in because I'm filling this in with strokes, right? So there you can see I have a little bit of a gradient. These in particular are useful when shading something like a sphere, but we'll get to that in a minute. All right, so first thing, let's shade the cube. And if I have a cube or an object in a scene, I'm always thinking of the light. All right, so where is the light source? Oops, here's my light bulb right there, and which direction? So in this case, maybe this direction here, and we can kind of transpose and say, oh, the light is over here too, same direction, just to keep it simple. In this case, if the light is here, this becomes my lightest surface, my second lightest, and the one that's furthest away from the light will be the darkest surface. And so I can refer to my value chart here and say, all right, well, I want this to be the darkest, so I'm going to use something like maybe a 7, or I could use this 9 and just shade this in a similar fashion. So notice I'm using these parallel lines close together, trying to make sure that they slightly overlap the boundary of this region. I'll get into light dynamics more later as I make more videos, but for now, just try and shade like this. And don't worry if you have these overlaps. See how when I add this heavier line, visually it just kind of cleans things up. So that means that you don't have to stress about getting it right the first time. You can just sketch as long as you have the overlap, and then you can add some line weight to things to make it a bit better. All right, so there's my value 3. Value 1 on the top is going to be very light, so maybe I'll do something like this with my lines. And then for number 2 here, rotate my page and go ahead and shade this in. So I'm spacing these lines a little bit more than the ones I sketched for the darkest area, and this is going to give me that appearance of having a lighter value. All right, so the practice with these basic concepts as part of the boot camp, that's what's going to get you ready. All right, now I'm going to try some of these other strokes here in certain quantities just to kind of help shade. In the case of the cylinder, I don't necessarily want to get into the dynamics of why a cylinder looks the way it does now, but as I shade this, effectively what I'm trying to do is create what's called a shadow core and create a gradient from this shadow core outward. All right, so the shadow core is, maybe you can think of it like where most of the light is passing the object. All right, so that's my shadow core, and this part of the gradient here is our reflected light, or RL. Now to the opposite side of the shadow core, I'm going to make this a little bit darker. To the opposite side now, going this way, I'm going to create a gradient. All right, so that means as I move, in this case to the right, this side of the paper, I'm just spacing these lines out a little bit more. And when I get to a certain spot, I might want to include a highlight. So I'm going to skip a bit further over, draw a vertical line like that, and then start to create a gradient again. So there's my highlight, and here Here's my shadow core. All right, two important things if you're trying to show a cylinder using pen. Now, since I don't have a marker, I can just finish shading the top of this. And what I like to do is kind of create a little bit of a gradient from front to back. So this way. And the reason for that is when you have light that interacts with a surface, as the surface changes direction, okay, and you can see this in the room that you're sitting in or whatever, but as the surface changes direction, one of those surfaces is going to be lighter than the other surface. So by placing lights against darks, we communicate or show contrast, and that contrast is then used to show form, three-dimensionality. And that works in conjunction with perspective. It works together, okay? And makes your drawings look more three-dimensional. So in the case of the sphere, if I cut a sphere in any direction, right? This way, that way, whatever, I'm going to get an ellipse. So this is a good guide, I think, personally, for identifying where you want to put your shadow core, because the light is going to pass kind of this widest part of the sphere and hit the ground. And sometimes that light reflects back onto the sphere. So at this point, what I'm going to do is combine shading. So I'm going to take this squiggle and maybe I'll actually start with some lines like this. This helps me establish a shadow core. It's kind of like the cylinder, but if you were to pinch the top and the bottom and this became curved, right, this shadow core, and highlight, that's what's going to happen here. Okay, so I'm going to go with my lines close together like so. And then personally, this is just personal preference, I like to kind of shade and fill in the backside just behind the shadow core, something like that. And then as far as creating a gradient, this is where I'll use the squiggle. Okay, so the squiggle here is going to go like this, and we can squiggle this like so. All right, and if I want to kind of make this more of a gradient, we can double up on the squiggle or add some straight lines here. But visually, what this does is create a gradient and communicates the three-dimensionality of the sphere. Now, spheres, I will say, are tricky when it comes to drawing with a pen. So don't beat yourself up or, overthink it and end up making it too messy. Also, the shininess of the sphere is something that may affect how you choose to shade it, but we're not to that point yet in terms of refreshing some of these concepts. And just as a reminder, I am using regular printer paper here and just a cheap pen, okay? So this circle, that represents my highlight. Here's my shadow core. This, you could say, is some environmental shading, all right? But if I wanted to, I could also just introduce some lines. So, but you can kind of see how the sphere gets a little bit busy and messy if I do it this way. In truth, when I am sketching, most times, more often than not, if I have a sphere, it's going to look like a circle on the paper. I'll just draw an ellipse like this and then shade it in. And that's enough to show that this is a three-dimensional object. All right. So I'm going to wrap it there for now, for today. Thank you again for joining me here at Sketch-A-Day. I know you thought, well, I don't know that you thought this, but maybe you thought I was gone and not coming back. I just took a break for the holidays. And like I said, inertia is a tricky thing, but I'm here and I appreciate your patience. I appreciate the comments. I've gotten so many comments, and I will be sharing more thoughts in videos. I'm thinking maybe Mondays, or some recurring day. It's like, here's some thoughts about life, about design. And then we'll continue the bootcamp series. We're going to get that done. We'll have some quick fire episodes and lessons as well. And then I'm still working on my plan to come back live. So that's where you get to chat and interact, make requests and that kind of thing. But I do want to create the right incentives, the right culture, the right atmosphere and so forth. Working on the Discord in the background, learning about some things that I want to tweak, and then also the website. So I'm busy, and hopefully you are busy drawing, all right, and practicing what you need to practice. So thank you again. Do all the right things, the good things. That's a phrase I stole from a friend. Looking at you, Erica. But do all the good things. So that means share this video. If you think somebody that you know might appreciate it, definitely share it with them. Become a subscriber, because when I post, you get alerted and then you can just watch the video. Or you can, if you can't watch it then, you can add it to your watch later. I personally like to watch YouTube videos at night. teaching me different things. So totally understand if that's your jam as well. And of course, I appreciate you commenting, making suggestions. I'm not going to fold if you have some feedback, that kind of thing, because so far I've gotten many good ideas as to what I can do to make this a much more authentic and special experience. So hopefully you can tell this is limited editing. I'm doing this through OBS, just giving it to you as it is. And yeah, I'm having fun. And hopefully you are as well. But I will see you next time, whenever that is, whether it's tomorrow or later in the week. But I will be back. All right. Take care. Happy sketching.